This podcast is brought to you by Eurosun Tanning Salon. Do you suffer from eczema or psoriasis? You have acne or sore muscles? Head on in today and visit the tanning beds. They got regular and mega stand-up beds. Get that beautifully tan look that you're looking for. They also offer natural Mystic Spray Tan. You can also purchase premium products such as Australian Gold, California Tan, Designer Skin, and Swedish Beauty. There's many different packages to choose from, 6-session package or a 30-day pass, even single sessions. Sign up today in your membership and get $70 worth of product. They're located across from Masonville Mall in the Wendy's Plaza at 60 North Center Road, London, Ontario. Visit Eurosun Tanning today. Hi, welcome to Studio 88, where I'm here with my very good friend Pete Trevino, the voice of the Prospect Fighting Championships. Very good friend of mine, very interesting dude, and welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here, man.
Had some problems at the bridge this morning.
At the Blue Water Bridge is closed.
And you had to turn around. So how long of a drive was that for you?
Well, we got about 45 minutes into the drive before we realized the Blue Water Bridge was closed. Turned around and took
See how
the Detroit
dedicated
Bridge.
this man is. I love it. I really appreciate you coming, man. Most guys would have turned around, went home, and said, "Fuck it."
Not at all. The first thing I thought of was a call. He was like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know if there was a different bridge or something."
Well, I'm really happy you made it. I'm really glad you came in.
Thank you.
The reason why I wanted to have you on the podcast today because you're kind of a mystery man. You're a mystery. Nobody really knows where I have this spectacular voice. I have this man who lights up the show. Who, in my opinion, is a good part of the show. Is the main part of the show because you just know how to deliver.
Thanks.
Where did it all come from? How did you get into ring announcing?
A long time ago. My first ring announcing gig was back in 1995.
95.
I did
16
wrestling.
years old.
At 95, I was 25 years old.
I was born in 95.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Pete's showing his age today.
Yes, I
showing
am.
his age.
My hair shows my age all the time.
So walk us through the first time. Now, how did it happen?
Well, I used to be the manager of the Ultimate Sports Bar and Grill. And it's in Taylor, Michigan. It's not there any longer, but it was one of the biggest nightclubs around, and I used to manage that place. One of my bouncers used to be into professional wrestling. And I've always, as a kid, I was into professional wrestling. Yeah, who doesn't?
Yeah,
exactly.
we're all fans.
So he invited me over to one of the shows. And I was like, okay, I'll come out and check you guys out. And they did a really good local show, And he was like, you should be our ring announcer. And I was like, what does a ring announcer do for pro wrestling? Because obviously back in the day, you didn't see them.
I never
just heard their voice,
yeah.
Whenever they were on the side. I was like, well, I'll do that for you. And I ended up starting to do, because I'm a DJ as well back then. So I did the sound for the show. I did the lighted entrance for the show. And I did the ring announcing all from the back of the DJ booth.
Just like that.
For the pro wrestling shows. And I started doing it for like different shows, NWA of Michigan, Insane Championship Wrestling, XICW, a couple others. Not XICW, I'm sorry. Big Time Championship Wrestling. XICW is kind of like what they all formed into now.
Gotcha.
It's the big wrestling company in Michigan right now.
Gotcha.
I've never worked for them. I've been to a show or two, and they put on a really good show.
Because, you're definitely a professional ring announcer. Like, there's a difference between a homeboy who does it on the weekend for just something, for a gig because he's got a beautiful voice, or, he works at a bar, he's a DJ, and he, ladies and gentlemen, coming to the stage, Veronica, your voice, your presence, your outfits, I get excited because he calls me and, what do you want me to wear, Jamie? I'm like, just do you, Pete.
You have your choice, man.
Yeah, be dapper. So it's really cool. So istartfights.com.
Yeah.
That's, tell me about it. Tell us all about it.
Well, it's my new website. I tried to get this website a long time ago, but obviously, working in websites and stuff, you got to check them all the time to see what's available and what's not. It was never available for about 10 years until about a year ago. And I checked back and it was available, so I snatched it up.
So now is it a booking site? So people want to get you on?
It's pretty much, just an information site, and you can book me through there. I book pretty much through my phone or through Facebook. Either one. Facebook gets me pretty much a lot. It started out as MySpace.
Oh, wow.
Back in 2008, you're asking me about how I started. 1995 was my wrestling start. 2005 was when I got my start in boxing through a gentleman named Tark Fikes. The wrestling was through the bouncer Alan Brown, who was wrestling under the name of Skull Gans.
Okay.
2005 was Tark Fikes. I met him in United Airlines when I used to work at United Airlines,
Mhm.
and two of my coworkers were just arguing and stuff. And I had already been doing this, ring announcing for wrestling. So I just rattled off like, "Oh, wearing the traditional blue and gold or blue and silver from United Airlines," and in this corner of us, and everybody just started laughing, all the
Yeah.
coworkers, because we were just in the break. And he was sitting right there working overtime, so it was just a happenstance. He was a
Wow.
Kronk trainer from Kronk Boxing.
Yep.
He was working overtime. He was a night shift, and I was on day shift, and he ended up working overtime. And he heard me do all that say, and he asked me, "Did you ever do that?" And I told him, I said, "I do it for wrestling." I was like, "I tried to do it for boxing. I had went to the Kronk gym, and I'd given my card out a couple
Hmm.
times, but no calls back." And he was just like handing me his card, and he was
Hmm.
like,
It's a tough industry because I get a lot of messages.
"Yeah,
I get a ton of messages, guys grinding and hustling, and I respect the shit out of it because they're trying to perform their craft.
yeah,
You have a craft.
yeah,
So when guys have that niche, they want work.
for sure."
But I'm also very loyal,
I've
so
been
I
undercut so many
mhm.
times.
Yeah, but it's not money is not an issue with you. It's not what you're paying for, is what you get. You're getting quality. You're getting showmanship. You're getting a limelight. It's a live limelight at the events. The term 3 rounds or less. Where did that come from? Is there a
You know what?
backstory? Is there a backstory to it?
A long time ago, I forget the name of the guy. He started it on Showtime, I think it was. I forget his name, but he always said, "Hey, schedule for this or less." No ring announcer had ever said it.
Hmm.
It was just the commentator, TV commentator. So I just picked it up right there. Hey,
Okay,
this
okay.
this bout
In
is
three,
scheduled for, or will
and
be decided in, and it went from there.
I love it because like in between rounds, as you're walking down the stage, trying not to fall in the dark lit rooms, and you're like, in 3 rounds or less,
It gives
and
like a segue to the
yeah, and
commentators. That's when they know, you know what I mean? That's I usually do that at the end of the fight,
yeah,
like you
it's a good
said.
flow. It's a really good flow.
WXE doesn't like me to do that at the end. I don't know
Why?
why. I don't know. That's why I do
It's
it
the
in the
coolest
middle.
thing ever. Don't ever change.
Oh,
Always do it.
I'm gonna do it for your
Yeah,
show.
yeah. No, I love it.
But
It's
actually, Michael Pettinelli asked me not to do that. I think it's for the commentators, and I was like, "Well, I thought I was doing it so the commentators knew when to start." And
mhm.
he was like, "I'd rather you do it sometime in between." So
Yeah. So I like the creative flow of letting you do what you do.
yeah,
Like I never try to intervene on what you do. I just kind of say, "Hey man, don't forget to say this. Can you mention this?
right.
Hey," and you've always been on point. You've always been on cue, and you've never missed a beat.
I
And
always try to do what the promoters say, and every promoter is different. Everybody
mhm.
wants their show to come off a different way. And if you hire me, I'm just going to do whatever the promoter wants to do.
Any nightmare stories? You ever leave a
Promoting
show
wise,
halfway through? You ever get hit with a chair or a bottle? Anything crazy like that?
no, 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 just nothing crazy like that. I mean, a lot of knockouts and stuff.
Yeah.
An epileptic seizure knockout was one time.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was like weird for me. I mean, I knew it could happen, obviously, and I know
Mhm.
people have epilepsy or whatever. But at the time, there was the kid's family was right ringside, and they said
Mhm.
he's never had a seizure, he never had anything, but he got knocked into a seizure, and I
Mhm.
was,
We call that the funky chicken. It's
yeah.
called the funky chicken. When I was in high school, I knew this girl actually. She got a girl to do the funky chicken, and it was in a fight. They
Oh
started
man,
scrapping. The girl gave her a crack right on the button, the funky chicken button, and
yeah.
she went boom, and she did hit the floor, and
Started
and
season,
it's
yeah.
scary.
It is. It's
It's
it's scary
absolutely
to watch
scary.
because you don't know what's
I
going
haven't
on.
seen a funky chicken in a long
Even
time.
if it's not a knockout, when you see someone have a seizure, it's kind of scary because you don't know how long they're going to
Mhm.
go through that seizure, and you just got to wait through it with them, kind of,
Mhm.
you know.
It, and that's the thing with combat sports. I mean, you get emotional attachments with a lot of the fighters.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, for sure.
I see guys that I'll deal with on a regular basis, or we're talking, getting ready for the fight. So I try to interact with everybody. So when the fights happen, I actually have an emotional connection. So if I see a kid that I've been talking to the last 3 or 4 months before he fights, and he's been telling me how great his camp's been going, and he's the best shape he's ever been in, and then all of a sudden he gets boom, he gets slapped, and this guy he's out like a light, and then you can't help but to look at him and feel terrible.
Yeah.
Faisal was a prime example.
Yes.
Like when that fight happened, and
That's
it,
what I told you that right before we started. That
it,
was one of my hardest things to
yeah,
watch because
it was very difficult to watch.
he's he's a friend of mine. I consider him a friend
Mhm.
of mine, first of all. And I know he's an official and he's a doctor and everything. He's also a fighter and he does all that. So I consider him a good friend.
Mhm.
And to see him go through that, I was like, whoa.
I went backstage and
Uh-huh.
I cried like a baby in Sam Stout's arms.
Really?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I felt accountable because I shouldn't have let that fight happen. He bugged me and bugged me and bugged me and bugged me. He would not
That's what
let
he
it ride
wanted, though.
because
So,
remember when the first time he fought that kid,
yeah.
right, Brandon? He fought him at Cowboys.
Yeah.
It was an
It was a
explosive fight. It was a
yeah,
barn
it was a
burner.
good
They were
fight.
going back and forth. He lost the fight,
Right.
but here's a man who, whatever he ever touched, he's been successful at.
Yes.
You're talking about a doctor. He's a specialist doctor. Like he's just an all around really good person.
He's generally the best doctor
100%.
that I've ever worked
100%.
with
So
along the side of
he
the ringer
begged me for
cage.
that fight. He begged me, and I mean, and I just kept putting him off. No, for King, not right now, not right now. Oh no, he's not available. Hasn't been training. It was luck. It got to a point where he said to me, "My son, I want that fucking fight." Like he was mad. Like
Right.
get me that fucking fight, or like that's it. Like he kind of put his foot down. So I said, okay, then, start the training camp. So I'll make it happen. We made it happen, and nobody knows this, but I'll go on the record and say it. The week before the fight, the fight he got knocked out, and if you know Faisal well, he always has a tight little fade with a little mohawk.
Yeah.
He comes very, very, very lean, jacked, ready to go. He puts
He's
whatever he
ready to
puts
go,
his
yeah.
mind to, he puts his mind to, and he follows it through to the very end. I saw him a week before the fight, and he looked like shit. He was tired, no haircut. He looked like he hadn't slept in 4 or 5 days. Like he looked rough. And I said to him, we were having coffee, and I said, King, like, how are you, man? Like you look drawn out, man. How's the training? He goes, oh, my son, like I haven't had much time to train. I just a woman had died that morning. She had an OD. He took her kidneys because she was a donor. That morning, so she died. He rushed on call, grabbed her kidneys, put it into another person who needed the kidneys, and saved her life. But he's in surgery. He was tied up for hours.
Yeah.
This guy's not training. He's
No.
not putting the work in. He's saving fucking lives.
Right.
This guy, and for a doctor, he's the smartest guy in the room. But he's also the fucking stupidest because he makes crazy decisions. And I coined that line.
Yeah.
I don't mean stupid.
Right.
I mean
You know
like
what I mean?
he's got so much oomph in him that he just will never say no.
Right.
And he wants to fight. He's a fighter.
I
So
know.
I felt like I let him down. I should have, seeing that the week before the fight, I probably should say, no, let's not let this fight happen.
Yeah,
But
but you gave
he's-
him what he wanted.
Yeah,
and
because he's such a,
Yeah.
his personality is
he
so
deserves
strong.
it. He
deserves
deserves
a
whatever he
chance, but
wants.
Seeing
He's,
him get knocked out was really rough for me.
yeah, it was rough for me as well. I was like, oh no,
You don't want to see that.
I didn't want to see it, and much less announce it. I didn't want to announce it either. Come on.
Yeah, it's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah,
But
for everybody around the ring.
now, do you like announcing boxing or MMA better?
I like announcing them both, and I've been asked this question quite a bit by a lot of people. I like announcing them both, but they are both different. If
Mhm.
you've noticed the way I do boxing and the way I do MMA, it's a little bit different. I still obviously use my voice.
Because you've done Showtime boxing.
Yes, and if you'll notice on Showtime, see, they ask you on Showtime to wear solid black. They don't want me to wear my, jackets that I wear, for MMA, and so I kind of separate that as well. I don't go as big for my boxing shows as I do for my MMA shows. I'll wear solid black, and I'll stand more still and straight, and I'll still
Now,
use
do you
the
think
voice.
that's just because of the being boxing very old, historical?
Yeah,
They
that's
kinda
what
like
I
it.
think that's the way, and that's the way they want to keep it. It's more classic, the classic, hands-on combat versus, the stigma of MMA that it's never gone away
Mhm.
since it started. You know what I mean? The human cockfighting type
It's
of
a
thing.
hard sell.
And it's more exciting. It's even all the announcers. I mean, Bruce Buffer down to all the other ones. They use a little more oomph and excitement or whatever. They're not the stand still and talk straight and ladies and gentlemen, this type of thing. That's boxing. So, and if you're a professional announcer and you do both, you have to know how to distinguish from both. You know what I mean? You
Mhm.
should, anyways. And that's what I do. So, but I don't to like either one more than the other. I wouldn't like any of them anymore. But I've done boxing longer,
Mhm.
so
Nice,
I
yeah,
would say I like the sport of boxing more only because I've watched it longer and I've been longer.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you don't like the creative flow where you can just kind of like be yourself.
Oh, I love that. See, and that's the part about me. is the live show. In all honesty, Jamie, I don't care about being on UFC Fight Pass or ESPN or Showtime or any of those that I've been on. I really don't. My thing is the live crowd and the live people
Mhm.
there. That's what I want to entertain. And sometimes I got to put that on hold. Like at Showtime, you've hired me, and you see how I do in between shows. If somebody needs me to kill time or something, in time, I'll start doing some funny stuff
Yeah.
or whatever. And I'll just rattle off a couple things. But you can't do that at all shows. Sometimes you just have to say nothing and sit there. It's like,
I love it. Are you a hip hop connoisseur?
a little bit of everything. I'm
Okay.
a disc jockey, so I listen to all kinds
So
of
when you
music.
just tell me about the disc jockeying, the DJing.
I've been a DJ since 1988.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I've been doing it at nightclubs, weddings, and stuff like that. I own my own company, Trevino Entertainment now. It's evolved from Downriver Entertainment Productions and a couple other things that I did when I was younger. But I've had Trevino Entertainment, and that is a group of everything. I always like iStartFights.com. If you go on the website, you'll see it says a Trevino Entertainment Company, because I do a couple of things, like I do the fights, and then I do the weddings, and I do DJ and stuff, because I'm an efficient as well. So I can marry you, and I could do your DJ or just one or the other.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
see, that's things
and I
that people
DJ
don't
at
know.
the landing strip in Romulus, Michigan right now. That's the one
Okay.
by the airport, obviously.
The landing strip.
Yep, it's like probably the number one club in Michigan right
Oh
now.
wow.
So it's really cool.
Is that a, is that a,
You
la-
gotta
is that a,
come.
la-
You
is
gotta
that a
come
ladies
hang
bar?
out, JB.
Is that a ladies bar?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
it's
wow.
a strip club.
How are strip clubs different from Michigan than Canada? Have you been to a strip joint here?
Long time ago, yeah. I used to come here every now and then, but what I used to come here for was Peppermints. Is that place even around?
Peppermints. Where was
Peppermints
that?
nightclub. It was in Windsor. It wasn't London. It was in Windsor.
Yeah.
It was like Peppermints and Don Cherry's were the two big nightclubs in Windsor. And obviously, I was 19.
The drinking age.
The
You could
drinking
drink,
age. That's where I was at.
So you
Peppermints.
grew up in Detroit
Yeah,
your whole life?
yeah. My whole life in and around Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was that?
Awesome for me. I love it, man.
Because we think Detroit, we think murder,
Yeah, well, a lot
car
of people.
theft. You know?
Well, Detroit is just now making a big turnaround the last
Yeah.
couple of years, man. I think you'd like it. It's become a big destination for a lot of people. I mean, the casinos, we got 3 major casinos in there now, and all the nightlife is coming back. All the sports are back in Detroit now. The Pistons are back because they used to be out in the Auburn Hills, and it was an hour away from Detroit and stuff. So, but all the sports are back. You got the Lions in downtown Detroit, the Tigers in downtown Detroit, Pistons downtown Detroit, Red Wings, everything. So it's making a big comeback, man.
It's Motown City too, right?
Yeah, Motown, Hitsville.
That's amazing.
You got to come and check us out, man.
Yeah,
Are you come
I
visit?
think I'm gonna make the trip down on the 31st on the
I
Wednesday.
hope you
so
do, man. Come WXC, man.
Yeah.
They do a great show. You got to come. You sit in my chair. I'll put you in
Yeah,
my chair
that'd be
right
cool.
there. Right
Actually,
in
not
officials
work
row.
this time. Actually, kind of
Yeah, for sure.
be able to take it in.
I'll introduce you to Mike Pettinelli and Norbert Pastor. They're promoters and matchmakers and the owners of WXC.
Do you ever do anything overseas?
No, I was asked to, but I didn't have a passport at the time.
Oh,
So I very quickly went and got a passport. It wasn't in time, but I'm ready to do anything else.
yeah. Because I think that'd be cool to see you on a.
I just
like
recently
an
got called
international card.
the fight that was on what was it? Not HBO. It was maybe ESPN. The girl fight, Hannah Gabriels versus I forget who it was. This just last week. I almost got that one, and that was in Costa Rica.
Oh
But
wow.
they decided to use someone else too. I was like, oh man.
Those are the ones you do for free, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'll
heck
do it
yeah,
for
I'll
free
do
just
it.
because
yeah.
of the trip.
Give me the
and it.
ticket. Give me everything. I'll be there.
Yeah.
So I can
That
stamp
seems
my
so
passport.
That's amazing.
But because of you, I've gone all over with different companies, but all over Ontario, man. So
Yeah, I drop your name wherever I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to spread the love.
and Brian Beauchamp, like you're saying, he always does the same thing too, man. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he was actually the reason that you and I
that's what
got
you're
in
telling me.
contact together.
That's awesome.
I was using another American, but he was kind of far away, and I didn't realize you were so close.
Yeah.
Like literally, you were right there.
Yeah.
And now I've seen you work on multiple promotions. BTC's one, Crew Linda, some shows.
Yeah.
Another one.
And then
I
I
think
did-
you got a boxing event coming up, Fisticuffs,
I think so.
in October, November. Forget. I apologize.
I too, yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
forgot.
then September with me.
They called me, and they never really confirmed anything. I don't think fisticuffs.
Okay,
I might, but I'm not sure, dude.
Jesse, man, lock the shit in.
Jesse.
Richards, stand in.
Okay. Yep, you got it.
No, so what's next on the plate for you? When's the next show?
The next show is July 27th in Salina, Ohio for Apex Boxing. That's a Saturday, I believe. Then WXC on July 31st, Warrior Wednesday on UFC Fight Pass Live. And then I got a couple shows in August, I believe, for Second to None Boxing. Yours
BTC,
is BTC's in
24th.
August on the 24th in
Yep.
Ottawa,
Yep.
and you're
That's
on
a hike.
September. Yeah, that's
That's
a
a
9-hour
hike.
drive from Detroit.
Wow.
Yeah, they're gonna take care of me.
They're good.
Yeah, they're
They're
really
good.
good.
They do take.
You
They.
you go to their shows, don't you?
Yep.
You've been there, yeah.
I've been to almost all of them. There's a couple on my work schedule, kind of.
They pretty much single-handedly saved pro MMA in Ontario for a minute there, right?
Yeah.
They
Well,
were the only ones
they're
doing a
keeping
show.
active, and that's the biggest thing is keeping guys active.
Yeah,
You know, they have their model is to keep pumping them out, getting their guys their fights, and you know they have a good model. So it's good. I'm happy that there's
they always
somebody
throw a good
else
show too.
keeping guys active. You know, the biggest thing is consistency, making sure guys are. It's hard to find fights.
I bet.
Like guys say, if let's say we have 2 promotions running in the province right now. You don't step on each other's toes.
Trying to share the fighters.
You're trying to share everybody to make sure everybody gets things. But imagine if you only had one. You're only doing 4 shows. That could only 4 fights. What if you're injured? You have to be active. If you want to get to the next level, you got to grind it out. You got to take fights. You got to travel. And it's, as a promoter, I see it. Sometimes it's not in the budget to fly guys in. I fly them in. You do what you can. But a lot of times, if you can keep them local, then it's more cost effective to be able to produce more. So what you do is you try to build local, but it's promoters don't want to fly a guy in unless they're flying you in to lose.
Right.
That's usually like
showcase your guy.
When I see it, you're being flown in to lose. Fortunately enough, Ontario has a huge stable of fucking studs.
Yes.
The gyms in Ontario are all top notch. The athletes, the fighters, they're all killers. There's a ton of UFC vets.
It
is a
all
mecca
the time.
for fight. It's a fight province. This province is the toughest province in all the province, hands down. Challenge it. I don't care what you say. No one's gonna beat our Ontario guys.
For sure.
Because our Ontario guys are going out west and beating the shit out of people. They're going to Quebec, beating the shit out of people. Wherever they go, they're beating the shit out of people.
I say it all the time. The best fighters that I announce out of all, and I go all over. Like I said, I'll be in Arizona in the early months of September. I've been all over. But Canada itself, and mostly Ontario, has the best fighters that I've come across.
Yeah, I love
everybody.
That.
All well-rounded fighters. I mean, you know what I mean? All of you guys, all the Ontario fighters that I've ever come out with on both sides, red corner, blue corner, they come out to fight, man.
Yeah, they're bangers.
And, yeah.
Now, quickly tell us where we can find you.
You can do me on all the social medias. The most one I use is Facebook, and that's Mr. Throwdown.
Mr. Throwdown.
Yep, on
Facebook. Instagram.
And, Instagram is Mr. Throwdown, and Twitter is Fight Announcer.
Fight Announcer. Okay,
yep.
beautiful.
And then istartfights.com. You can email me at pete@istartfights.com. I get emails there. So
beautiful. Pete,
thank
you so much for coming in with me today.
Not a problem.
It was a pleasure sitting with you.
I'm happy to be here, man. Thanks for inviting me.
I'll see you September 28th at Prospect Fighting Championships and Showdown in the downtown. Bring you knockout kidney disease.
Yeah,
Ladies and gentlemen, my very good friend, Pete Trevino.
Thank you, Jamie.
You're welcome.